All right, you guys, it's time for a video on pruning our Espalier orchard. This is a Toka plum, and we prune our plums, apricots, pears, and apples all in the Espalier method. Plums are notorious. Okay, so this is one of the trees we're going to prune today. And by we, I mean John. So you can see all of this growth, all of these red tips. This is all real or new and very vigorous. It's called suckering. So it all happened since he did a prune. It was either a prune in spring or summer last year, or maybe a prune from even the winter. So it's gonna get a huge haircut here. And we're really wanting to go back to something more like nice fruiting spurs that are a little more manageable, like these or this one. The other thing to notice is you really don't want stems bumping into each other, so all of these are going to get cut out. Okay, so John is starting here from left to right on the bottom horizontal cordon. And you can see he's done a bit of pruning already, and he's really bringing, these are already established spurs. He's trying to bring them back to about 3 to 5 inches long, and he's looking at the 3-dimensional space. So he wants to bring them shorter because you don't want that really tall growth. That's part of the look of these. And then he's trying to ensure that they're going to be able to fruit, hopefully, this year. So these suckers can be really large, but they're probably the most important thing to prune off of your fruit trees annually. Watch how long this one was. The other thing of note is there are times when we've got these established fruiting spurs where he's going to go back and check this out, he's cutting about 1 inch below where the original spur was. So he's really looking to maintain this shape that we've got here. So the thing John loves about this is this time that he gets to just spend with his trees. It's a lot of contemplative time, and he's looking at the 3-dimensional shape and feeling for at least a minimum of 3 buds. So it's a really tactile, relaxing, meditative craft, and it's not something to rush. Some years he cuts off too much and we don't have flowers, and this is how he learns. So it's really about taking the time, and I think in this video you'll see him use his fingers to kind of assess his branches, and he's cutting a lot off, but I was a little bit surprised to see how much he also left. So he will leave things sometimes a little taller, and this again is how he learns. So this isn't something that he learned in a book, or he learned a little bit from his grandparents, but it really is just a practice in experimenting, just like anything else in the garden. So here he's getting to the end of the branch, and you're going to see where he is going to be cutting that 4-foot length right here on the side to maintain a 4-foot cordon right there. Okay, so this is our apple tree we're going to be pruning. This is a mountain rose, and we did a really big hack back of it a couple years ago. So it's very, very vigorous on this bottom cordon, and then it's less vigorous up top. Not as vigorous as the plum, so it's a little easier and faster to prune. And of note is that we are keeping all of these branches in a wheelbarrow, and we actually end up removing them. We usually burn them or bring them to a brush site just to prevent any kind of disease spread or anything like that around the property. So same method as with the plums. And one thing I should have mentioned is when he cuts, he does cut at a slight angle. And you can be doing this pruning all the way until kind of early spring. We often don't prune until sometime in March. I really just put this together just so I could give you guys a sense of his pruning. He will continue to prune again, probably not until late February or early March. So again, this is a mountain rose apple tree, and so it put out a lot of growth on this bottom rung, that he is deciding which fruiting branches to keep, which ones to take off, and sometimes like he takes off a lot, and that's what it is. This whole method is really a very tidy and highly kind of curated landscape experience. Even with open grown trees, you're going to need to prune, but you don't prune quite as much as this. So you can really see here how John is counting buds and cutting at an angled cut right above that third bud he's looking for. And he's doing this with all of these new fruiting spurs. This is on the second branch of the mountain rose that we cut back. So this was growth from last year. And he's just kind of reestablishing all of the fruiting spurs. And then at the top, he's really cutting back all of those suckers. So these are suckers on apple trees. This growth was all from 2023. And then he's also taking ones that are off of those lateral branches, those side cordons, and starting new fruiting spurs. So going to about 3 to 5 inches, looking for the buds right there, and then cutting right above that third bud. And it's kind of easier to see here how you start pruning in Espalier style, because these branches are so clean. It's much easier to kind of get this shaping going at a younger age than it is to prune something like that plum I showed you. Hope this is helpful. Lots more information coming as we go through the season.